I'm Jennifer Marie Keller. Welcome to my Diary of a Painter. I got to go to Denver last weekend and I found out that the Denver Art Museum was having this huge Monet show. Saturday was the only day that I could go to it, so on Saturday I showed up at the museum right when it opened, and right when I walked through the lobby doors, I see these huge signs saying Monet show sold out, and I was like, oh no. But I walk up to the ticket counter anyways, and I'm talking to the woman that's selling tickets into the museum and for the exhibit, and I'm kind of shamelessly begging her to see if there's any way that she would let me in. I was telling her I was from out of town and this is the only day that I could see the show, and she was saying it's been sold out for days and there's nothing she could do. And I was asking if I could give her money for the ticket, and then maybe if I would wait all day in front of the exhibit entrance, and if there was a lull, maybe they would let me in or something like that. And she was just saying that it was impossible. And then, right then, when I was about to give up, there was a ding on her computer, and she looks and she said that someone had just refunded their ticket for the day. And she asked if I wanted it, and I was like, yes. And so I was so happy, and I got a ticket and I got to go into the Monet show. And this Monet show, it's up until February, I believe. So if you're in the Denver area or gonna be in the Denver area, it's amazing, absolutely incredible. The show is huge. It's 2 floors, and I don't know the exact number of paintings that are in the show, but it feels like 100 of his paintings. And they span from when he was first starting out, before they even look like Monet paintings, and then it goes into his later work, and later, like, from street scenes to his more famous paintings, like his Lily Pond paintings. So it's just a huge variety, and it was so cool to see all this work in person, and I'm so thankful and happy that I got to go and see it. So I go in the exhibit, and I'm giddy walking around. And when I go to museums or shows like this, I usually do a museum show twice, sometimes 3 times in one stay. And so the first time I go around it pretty quickly because I want to see all the paintings. And then the second time I'll go around it again and sometimes like read the information that they have on the wall or the tags by the paintings if I'm interested in that. And the third time, which I always do this, is that I will pick out my favorite paintings that are there, and I'll stand or sit in front of them for a really long time and really study them and just sit in front of it, because the more that I feel like I can sit in front of a painting, it kind of reveals more stuff to me, and I just feel like I can get a lot more out of it. But you can't do that for every painting, because I would be there week after week doing that. So I just pick out a few, and those really stick in my memory when I go home then, and I really like doing that. So I had done all that, and I was going to go through it a 4th time to take a video and walk around the whole entire exhibit for this diary entry. But as soon as I started taking a video, a guard came up to me and said that I can't take video, but I can take photos. And with that being said, I really can't see the magic of what makes a Monet painting so great in a reproduction, like in a photograph or even a video. I feel like video, though, is closest of a reproduction as you're gonna get, rather than from a photograph or from the internet or from a book. But I feel like it just doesn't capture all that atmosphere. It's just better seeing them in person. And that's really true for any painting, but I feel like especially with Monet, you can really in person see the buildup of layers, and you can see where paint's more translucent, where it's applied like super opaquely. The way that Monet layers paint is so incredible. He seems to paint in a really direct style. It's almost like he will do a painting alla prima and then repaint over it again alla prima, and keep doing that in that really direct way. And then on top of that, though, I can also see where he probably glazed, or more likely scumbled in areas to get that really thick feeling of air and atmosphere. And he's also layering these warms and cools, so his paintings get this really nice vibrancy to them. My favorite thing about Monet paintings is definitely the light and atmosphere. He is a master at painting air and getting air to have this really enchanting glow to it. Something that you can do in person that's harder to do from reproductions is when I'm standing in front of the painting, I like to try and see if I can dissect it and see how he painted it. And the really cool thing about this show is there's this one painting at the end of the show that, to me, it looks really obvious that it's not finished. It looks like the first layer of the painting has been put on, where you can see there's a lot of bare canvas around the edges. All the colors are more dull. The values don't have as great of a range, and the brush strokes seem more simple. Like he doesn't, if he would have more layers, some brush strokes would be going, in different ways, and it would be built up differently in texture. And yeah, the paint also, because it seems like it's just one layer, also seems like it's applied thinner on the canvas. And not that he's painting thinly, it's just like, not that it doesn't have like a huge buildup of paint on the canvas yet. And the cool thing about having this painting in the exhibit in one of the galleries, it's one of his lily pond paintings, and then it's in the room with all of his other lily pond paintings, or the ones that the show had. And so you could really compare it with the ones next to it that are the same subject matter, that have that finished look to it, that have the vibrancy, the build-up of paint, a really full range of values and colors. Everything's really vibrant. So seeing that is really cool to kind of see how Monet probably built up his paintings. And I took a photograph of this painting, but again, it's not that obvious in the reproduction, but standing there in person, it's a complete difference from one painting that looks unfinished to all the other more finished ones. The show was amazing. I'm so happy that I got to see it. If you have a chance to go, definitely go see it. It's incredible. And buy a ticket in advance so you're not in the situation that I was. So besides the Monet exhibit, the museum had a lot of other really great paintings. One really stuck out to me, and I thought it was incredible. It's the family of street acrobats and the injured child. It's an absolutely devastating image, and it looks like the child fell and hit his head really hard. You can see the bleeding bandage wrapped around his head. And the mother and father and the child, they all have teary eyes. And each expression is so well done and emotional. Getting right up close to it, you feel the emotion. Being all the way on the other side of the room, you can feel all the emotion in the painting. It's just so well done. And not only that, the image and the emotion it conveys in the story, but also the handling of the paint is so good. I live for paintings like this with these paint strokes. And there's so much variety in paint strokes too. Like the faces are more tightly done, and the hands, but the way that the fabric is painting, especially if you look at the woman's dress, the tulle of the skirt, or that translucent fabric, how it has those sweeping brush strokes that look like the paint was dry brushed on with that, contrasted with the blue fabric and how that pattern is put on so thickly, and then have that next to the gold drum that's in the right lower corner with those thick gold brush strokes, and also the background, how it has those really long brush strokes going down. It's just like there's so much to look at the painting when you step far back and you can't see the brush strokes because everything is locked into place. And then as you start walking up closer, the paint starts to reveal itself with all the different types of ways that the paint was manipulated and worked up. It's so interesting to look at. I stood in front of this painting for such a long time. It was such a joy to see in person. That, besides the Monet show, definitely my favorite painting in the Denver Art Museum. That museum was so good. Also, what I like to do is go to the museum cafe or some other cafe that's really close by, which I did this time. I went to a place across the street, and I order food, and I have my notebook that I take with me everywhere. It's either a notebook or a sketchbook, and I will write down anything interesting that's coming into my mind about the show. So I did that for the Monet show, for the rest of the museum, and especially that one piece of the acrobats. And I also talk about how it's affecting me, and and what things I like and don't like, and what things I want to borrow or steal for my own work. I always enjoy that. I always think that's a lot of fun. But now I'm back and home in California, and if you can hear it in my voice, I got sick in Denver. I actually got really sick. I'm feeling a lot better now, so this week has kind of been a scratch where I haven't done so much art making, but I'm starting to feel better, thank goodness. So I'm going to get back into the studio and start working because I'm really excited for these pieces, these upcoming pieces. So you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. I also have all of my social media accounts linked below. You can sign up for my monthly newsletter by going to my website at jennifermariekeller.com, scrolling down on that first page, and you'll see where you can put in your information.